The United Nations highest court says countries across the globe must address the quote, urgent and existential threat of climate change or potentially face legal repercussions. Wednesday's opinion from the International Court of Justice says that the protection of the environment is a quote, precondition for ensuring human rights. The World Court cited government support of fossil fuel production as a possible infringement of these principles. Research scientist Carly Phillips joins us now. Carly, nice to see you. What are the big takeaways from this landmark opinion, and why should people care?
Thank you so much for having me. I think the big takeaways are exactly what you said there in the intro, that climate change is a human rights issue and that not addressing climate change is infringing on people's human rights. But I also think that the other big takeaway is that countries are legally bound by international law to address climate change. And I think that people should care because climate change is an issue that affects people around the world. It's affecting us in our country right now in the US, as well as communities across the world. And so this is an issue that impacts everyone. And the fact that countries have a legal obligation to address it is a massive victory for those who want to protect communities and take action on climate.
So, which countries are responsible for emitting the most planet warming gases?
Yeah, we have data on that from databases like the Global Carbon Project, for instance, which shows that historically and cumulatively, the United States is the largest emitter, emitting almost a quarter of all greenhouse gases since the Industrial Revolution. We also know that China and Russia are large emitters. And one thing that this opinion did is that it said that countries can be held accountable for those historical cumulative emissions, which is a really big deal because, as many folks may know, China is currently the largest annual emitter, but again, the United States is the largest historical emitter if you're looking back to since the Industrial Revolution.
So the big question I have personally is, how do you hold these countries accountable? We know that the United States withdrew from the Paris Agreement. I'm not sure how much that plays into that accountability factor, but what are the consequences?
Yeah, the court was really clear that you don't have to be party to the Paris Agreement in order to be held accountable under international law. And that was one of the, again, major takeaways of this ruling. And we know that from litigation that we've seen across the world, both from states and communities in the United States, as well as communities around the world, that the courts are an avenue to climate justice, as well as an avenue to encourage and pressure countries to address climate change, which this opinion also does.
So it strengthens the argument, but it would take going through that legal process to see any real remedy from what we're talking
Yes.
about. In terms of
Yes.
what we all could be doing, what needs to happen for this earth to achieve those climate goals?
Well, I think the big thing that this opinion reaffirmed is that we need to phase out fossil fuels. The opinion touched on the fact that countries can be held liable for emissions from corporations within their jurisdiction. So, whether that be fossil fuel production, consumption, permitting for additional exploration, or even fossil fuel subsidies, which really highlights the fact that those countries can be held liable for
Hmm.
emissions, even though they're from private companies. So
Oh.
we've seen litigation across the world that's looking to hold both countries and corporations accountable. And I expect that we'll continue to see that as a result of this opinion, and that this opinion really strengthens the legal and moral implications and the legal weight of those lawsuits.
Carly Phillips, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.